has your day been so far?
It's been interesting. It's been great. It's been eventful. My days are always eventful. I'm either rehearsing or trying to make music or meeting with people or, just always doing something. So I've had a very eventful day.
You were studying law at the university but spent more time doing music. How did you balance that?
The distance, playing in the rain.
Like everyone else does it, like every Nigerian does it. I mean, we're resilient people, we're people of many parts, we're resourceful people, so the banking lady knows how to sell her makeup products. The guy who does, I mean, we do multiple things. This is Nigeria, you know what I mean? So I guess it was, my state and my space, you know what I mean, where I did my law, but I also did my music because I had to. Music was my bread and butter. It was my passion. It was my form of expression. And so I just did it. I did it. Yes, I did cut classes a few times because of that, yeah, which is not impressive. But I mean, I did it because music had that kind of hold on me.
The sweet sound of water flowing away.
Why were you disappointed when you found out you were from Akwa Ibom and not Lagos?
To parents and their children going to church.
I'm proud of where I'm from. I'm from Creektown, Cross River State in Calabar. It's an amazing place. It's a beautiful place and it's got loads of beautiful people. We are the conveners of the famous Calabar Carnival. I mean, you can't beat that. That's is just something. However, I'm a Lagos boy at heart. You know what I mean? I think in Yoruba. I pray in Yoruba sometimes in my mind. I mean, that's how serious it is. Let's say I experienced the best of both worlds, coming from a place that, is as culturally rich. And Calabar's got some of the cuisine is to die for, and then also to be immersed in, the Yoruba culture and have so many friends and people, and just experience, Yoruba literature and everything else. I mean, for me, it's beautiful. So I enjoy the best of both worlds.
A happy little baby drools on your shirt.
Being the last of 6 children, how was childhood for you?
Let us have a world of ordinary people.
Childhood was fun. It was fun growing up. I always say to people, I did everything I was big and bad enough to do. I had a great time. I grew up in the barracks, and I grew up, in the other side of the barracks where you don't have a lot of money, but you get a lot of love. And so, we made fun out of everything, and it was all love. It was all fun. If you couldn't afford expensive toys, you learned to ride tires around the streets, So I mean that was my life, and it was a fun life. I liked it. My father was in the army, and he gave us that good barrack life because we got posted and we moved around a bit, and it was quite interesting and enjoyable.
Okay. Ordinary people living life the way God wants us to.
What kind of training did you receive while growing up?
Of ordinary people, extraordinary things.
My parents showed me a lot of love. I'm the product of love, but at the same time, they didn't spare the rod to spoil the child. So yes, I got it when I needed to, when I cut out of line. But my parents also taught me things I needed to know, and even things I wasn't sure, whether I needed to know at the time. My father would take my father taught me to drive, even though I couldn't see, and he wanted to teach me to drive with a stick shift car, So it was interesting. My father taught me to. I've developed a love for something and I always like to explain what it is before I tell people because it could easily be misunderstood. I don't like what it does. I don't like what it can do, but I'm in awe of the engineering and the beauty of how it is constructed, you know what I mean, and just the precision and how it works. And my father taught me to use guns, at an early age. He would work me through his Beretta .9mm, his service pistol, and I thought that was just the coolest thing. So my family taught me things, the things I needed to know, and a few things, now that I think about it in retrospect, I'm not so sure about. But I mean, I had a great life, and my training was amazing. And then I proceeded from there to King's College, which actually reformed me, as a gentleman. I met great friends, made great relationships, and had a great PKC. And it was just an amazing time of life. And then University of Lagos, and then so I mean, I guess in terms of training, I've had it all. It's very well rounded. And I became self-aware at a very, very early age, but I don't think, even at that time I bothered myself. I followed my passion. I did what I liked to do. And playing music was one of those at the time.
Will happen to me and you. Me and you.
Do you recall people taking advantage of you because of your disability?
Ordinary Abraham, he was just a man.
I said it a long time ago in an old Hip Hop World magazine I was interviewed in, that I'm one of those guys who throws away his old bank statements and keeps his old love letters. Well, I mean, in the real sense of it, if you threw away your old bank statements, you'd be in a lot of trouble. But I remember the good and I throw away the bad. So for me, it's not a question of who takes advantage of me. It's a question of, who helps me in my journey through life. And that's what I remember, and that's what sticks with me.
But he'd kill his son for the price of
Without your sight, how do you get to discharge your daily duties?
ordinary Joe who lost it all, but
I just do what I do. I lead a perfectly normal life. So the lack of sight is not necessarily the inability to do anything in your life. You know what I mean? You run around, you do things. I mean, when I owned my first studio ever, I ran around and I would usher my clients in and take them upstairs, to where the studio was in my home at the time. I'd go down, turn on the generator, and fuel my own generator. Oh my goodness, it was a small studio, and I worked it. And then I'd run my sessions and cut my receipts and do everything. So I mean, I've pretty much I did that. Obviously, I had sound engineers who worked with me, at certain times in my life, or at most times in my life, but. That's a standard procedure for a lot of producers. If you're not a beat maker and you're a producer who's worked in a real studio, you would know that cabling is a really laborious task. So you work with sound engineers. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, I can fix my own coffee and do just about everything else.
who lost it all, but and God had his hope.
You've been behind the success of many great Nigerian musicians. What's the secret?
Brought down Goliath with a stone and a toy.
I think it's just wanting to outdo yourself. It's just wanting to do better. It's listening to great music, taking it in, just totally internalizing it, just dissecting it, and wanting to create something better than, whatever it is you've heard or whatever it is you've created in the past. And quite honestly, you can't do it without God. At least I know I can't. It's a subject, that bothers on political correctness these days. But look, I'm nothing without God.
Sweet little Jesus, ordinary child,
What inspired ordinary people?
humble and mild. If anybody told you,
Just that, ordinary people. The people who actually do exploits in this world are not people who have two heads or four arms. They are everyday people like you and me. You know what I mean? We walk every day on the backs of people who literally, broke their backs to build a society, to build an institution, to build systems, to build all these. These are ordinary people who are ambitious enough to go out and do something. And what that means is that every one of us has a chance to go out and do something extraordinary. And you're not going to have, an epiphany and wake up with, inscriptions on your forehead before you become that guy who makes a change. You're the same old Joe, but you just make up your mind to do something differently. And that's how it starts. Everyone who's a major success today, is someone who was naughty at some point in time of their childhood, who took their first baby steps, who wore diapers or nappies or whatever, who poo-pooed on themselves and, literally just got up and made, sense out of life. And so, yeah, that's what ordinary people is about. It's about you and me being the ordinary people who can do extraordinary things to change the world.
anybody told you he'd be Messiah, you probably would.
Who is Cobhams Asuquo?
So let us have a world of ordinary people living.
I'm just a regular guy, man. I love music. I love food. I love pleasure. I hate pain. I'm happy. and then when I'm not, I'm not, and I want to be happy again. And I love coffee, and I love Jesus, and great conversations, and pianos, and fine dining, and great cars, and, and people being happy. And I'm a regular guy, really. That's who I think I am.
Living life the way God wants us to.
If you had a minute to see, what would you love to see?
Ordinary people, extraordinary things.
It's such an important position that you have to take time to think about it. Yeah. It's easy to just say one thing for the purpose of TV or eloquence or coherence or whatever. But I mean, it's something you want to think about. I really don't know, quite honestly. I'm not sure what that one thing would be.
When you met your wife, how did she feel when you asked her to date you?
It was clearly maybe about a month or so after we met. By this time, we had been talking on the phone and racking up quite a bill, or racking up bills for our families. And I think in her mind, I'd grown to be a different person, more of a friend or a brother. And for me, I'm like, who's your brother? You know what I mean? So, yeah. So I think it must have come as a shocker to her to know that this guy who's her buddy, her gist buddy and all, actually sees her in a different light.
What's that one thing your wife does to make your life so easy?
I think she does everything to make my life easy. First of all, she's the smarter of the two of us. She's an absolutely amazingly brilliant woman. She graduated first class, and I didn't know for her first 4 years out of university. I only got to find out, by accident. I don't have an impressive academic record, just so you know. I opted out of law in my third year. She's really smart. She gives some of the best advice. She's a bit more rounded in her thinking. She's an encourager. You know what I mean? She would encourage me and other people to go for their dreams. She's just a great woman. She's a great person to talk to. She's a great person to hang out with. She's a great food buddy. Even though I think she eats more when I'm around her. Yeah, so she does a lot of things, I think, to make my life better. And like I said recently, I see through her eyes. I love watching movies, but I think I enjoy watching movies more with her. Her mannerisms, her descriptions, her everything. So I mean, it's a good life with her around.
Did you opt out of law because it was too hard for you?
I was pretty much an A student throughout my primary, secondary school years. I get into the university, and obviously law is what I wanted to do. But music had such a pull, and I haven't failed at many things. I have failed at a few, and I'm proud to say that, because I think failure is all right as long as it's part of your destiny, you're part of your journey and not your destination. But in my third year in law, I realized that music had such a pull, and I needed to respond to that. I was making music for quite a number of musicians, and I was in a good place with that. And you're just following the trajectory that was definitely going somewhere, and it was somewhere in line with my ambition and my desire and my purpose in life. And so I decided I was going to just face music squarely.
How did you propose to your wife?
How did I propose? I did my best to be romantic. How did I propose? I went out with her to a lake, and got down on one knee, very traditionally, and pulled the ring out of my pocket and proposed to her. So it was very it was very romantic. It was, by a lake, on a cool evening, and with gunfire walking, and it was romantic. It was surreal, and it was beautiful.
Okay, so how's marriage been so far?
How has marriage been so far?
It's been beautiful. It's modeled me in a lot of ways. I enjoy being a husband. I enjoy being a father. I enjoy being responsible. Um, it's been 5 years, and it feels like it only just started. I'm loving every minute of it. Yeah, we do have our moments when we don't necessarily agree, but I mean, I guess it's so in every healthy relationship. And if you show me one relationship where there aren't disagreements, then I, I'd, my choice would be to run away because I hate to see it when it does come. Yeah, but in general, it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful. I'm honeymooning every day.
You once said you get inspired in the bathroom. How?
I think a lot more people than pay attention to it actually get inspired in the bathroom. They just maybe haven't pinpointed it or haven't chosen to use it or take advantage, for what it is. The bathroom, like I always say, is one place where you get to be a physicist, an astronaut, a soldier, whatever you want to be. It's just your space where you're by yourself. You know what I mean? And it's an amazing space to be creative, and especially if you're a singer, it's a space that provides you with the natural reverb to test your singing skills, which is why I guess a lot of people sing in the bathroom. So it's inspiring not just for me, but for a lot more people than come out to talk about it publicly.
Do you think gospel music is fading?
I think I'm a Christian and I'm a musician. I think, those two things shouldn't always be directly compared because a lot of times it's comparing apples to oranges. I'm a Christian, that affects everything that I do, including the music that I make. I'm a musician, meaning that, I will sometimes create music for people who may not necessarily be Christians in that sense. So I don't know if I'd refer to myself as a gospel musician. I think I'm a musician who's a Christian. And so I create music across board. It may be, music that talks about Jesus. It may be music that talks about love and life and, dancing and being happy, as long as it's not offensive and as long as it doesn't, what's the word? It doesn't sexualize women or, sell women off as commodities, which, a lot of music does right now. So let's clarify that that's my space. Now, in terms of gospel music or how that's created or where the quality of that. I think that industries are growing. I think that as a country, as a people, especially in Nigeria, we've suffered years of successive military regimes, and they have impacted on so many things in our lives, and where a lot of the our lives are picking up we're picking up the pieces of our lives and piecing them together, and some are growing faster than others. I do believe that there is room for improvement and growth in the gospel music scene. It definitely is not where it ought to be, but we give it room. And you mentioned Ordinary People. Ordinary People is a song that has, well, a strong Christian undertone. I think for me, that's the work of, a Christian musician. You're not just reaching out to people in the bubble of religion. You're reaching out to the rest of the world, and I think that gradually, more and more musicians, who are Christians, are discovering this and are moving into that space and taking advantage of it and creating music that is wholesome, that is great, that is well produced and well packaged, and that is sincere and true. You have the likes of Nathaniel Bassey, who are by every standard, proper musician, but he's also a great Christian, and and his music reflects his personality, and it's true in that sense. And there's quite a number of people who are also in that space. So yeah, I think it is growing. We flog the subject of mediocrity, but I think mediocrity is everywhere. I think that a lot of the things we suffer are in our health, in education, in economy. So it's not relegated to like music or Christian or gospel music alone.
Extraordinary things.
I've been producing for the last maybe 15 to 18 or so years of my life. I'm exploring other sides to me. And so, well, there's the performing artist side, which is coming out more and more. So I'm performing more now. I'm performing more now just because, that's the space I'm in. I want to be more of a performer. It's a gift that I have, and it's a gift that I'm happy to nurture. And so, well, you'd be seeing more and more of that now.
Who are your top three Nigerian producers?
I would have to do more than three. So one of them would be Saz. He's amazingly talented. I love his music. I love how he's able to excite me with the music he makes every time he makes music. Another will be Malik Berry. His understanding of the music that he creates reflects, he just has a great ear for his sound. You know what I mean? And it's just it's so original. I love it. I'm really feeling DJ Coburn right now. Yeah, I think his sound is really, really amazing. Really, really fresh. He's charting a different cause, and I like that very much. I like his bass strategy is really exciting. Let's see who else am I. Of course, there's Don Jazzy. Don Jazzy he's on top. Like he's amazing. He makes great music. He makes music that catches my attention. I like all things Harry Song. He makes me laugh. He engages me. He engages my musical mind. He's got great melodies. He's got great. I mean, he's just a great guy. I think I like his music a lot. Who else excites me musically? Rotimi Keys. He's an amazingly talented musician who's also very well rounded as a producer and is able to crisscross genres very easily. Yeah, I think those would be a few of my favorite Nigerian music producers.
How do you relax?
I have lovely conversations. I like fine dining, whether it's in my home or in a nice restaurant. It depends on where I am. If I'm out of the country, I like long drives. If I can get to, that's usually really nice. I love spending time with friends, and just letting my hair, letting my walls down, letting my guard down, and just having a good time. Yeah, that's what I do. I love to travel. Love to go to great places with people that I like, and well, I like people. I like everybody, but I mean with people who are close to me, just having a good time. But fine dining is always a part of how I relax.
What is your philosophy of life?
It's not that. Just live, man. Just don't make a math textbook out of anything. Really, just live. Let's be easy. Do right by God and by other people, and just live and enjoy life. Eat, live, love, laugh, cry. Live, live, live. give and love, especially, because those are really important. And whatever you get a chance, whatever you dream of, you think is good and right by God and man, try to do it.